Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I've been afflicted once again by a headworm, or is it an eyeworm? I can't remember what we decided to call it. When you get an image in your head for an art journal page, or an idea for an art journal page in your head, and it won't go, you can't get rid of it, and the only way to get rid of it is to actually sit and do it. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So let me turn over to my overhead camera and I'll try and explain what's up here and try and get it right down there. Okay, so I'm hoping that the exposure on this is okay and you can see and read everything. So as you can see, I'm working in one of the few remaining pages in my 12 by 12 journal. I've got bits and fragments of book text that I'm going to be gluing down and sticking down onto the page, and I want to pretty much cover the whole of the page with the book text, but I'm wanting some texture in the background, so I'm not going to use matte medium. I'm just going to use glue stick or dry glue stick. I've got an Elmer's Extreme here, but it's not the blue kind. So all I'm going to do is just take these pages. I think I'm going to stick it so that the ripped pieces are on that side. And when I add any moisture to the page, I don't mind if it lifts or if it gets wrinkled or creased and that kind of stuff. It all adds to the texture of the journal page. So I'm just trying to make it so that I've got a little bit of a border all the way around. I've had to clip the previous pages because it's getting really top heavy, is this journal now. Let's just add a little bit down there, just to hold that bit down. So yeah, it's one of those things where sometimes you have this idea in your head and you think to yourself, first of all, how am I going to translate that idea onto a page? And then secondly, it's, am I good enough? Am I capable enough as an art journaler, or even as an artist if you like, to pull it off? Am I good enough? Are my abilities good enough to do what I want to be able to achieve? The idea that I've got, you know, can I do it? Am I capable? Even though I've been art journaling for many years now, when did I start? 2015, I think it was. And I've you know, I like to think that I have journeyed a little bit. My pages have changed. The concepts that I work with or have tackled over the past couple of years are different, and I hope my technique has got better over the years. I may be wrong, maybe way off the mark. You know, it's all subjective, isn't it, when all's said and done. But we all still have that kind of imposter syndrome. You know, am I good enough? Can I do this? When are people going to realise that I'm a fraud, kind of thing? We all suffer from that. Everybody suffers from it. It's normal. It's natural. It's just one of them things. We all have doubts about our abilities. But pushing ourselves, stepping outside this comfort zone that we have of doing tried and tested within reason, is good for us, because it does show us that we can do these things, which is why I did that painting not so long ago. I think that's going to be enough, because I'd never done one like that before. I wanted to see whether or not I could do it. So we don't learn, we don't grow as artists unless we do these kind of things. All right, so that's the paper stuck down. Now I've also got some washi tapes here. no more, for no other reason than I'm getting sick of seeing them in my stash. It's time that I used these up and they were away. So yeah, you know, washi tape's been hanging around for years and years. So it's time that they earned the keep and I used them. In fact, that one, there's actually no sticky on it. That's how long I've had that one, so that can go straight in the bin. Yes, I'm just going to add some washi tape to this just because it needs using up, and it'll just give me not necessarily an excuse next year, but reason maybe to refresh and look and see what other designs and what other patterns are out there, and just not rely on the likes of Tim Holtz and the like, Prima and that kind of stuff. See what else is out there. Okay. I always wonder whether or not, you know, after a certain period of using stuff from companies, as to whether or not like we get stuck, we get like brand fatigue. Do people get sick of seeing the paper dolls? Do people get sick of seeing the same washi tape? Do people get sick of seeing the same stamps at journal pages? That kind of thing. You know, so is it time to just broaden the horizon and look elsewhere? I think I'll introduce a vertical at this side. Just a small one. Alright. And I think sometimes, you know, when our art journals start looking samey, it's because we're using the same resources over and over and over again. I've got tons of Tim Holtz stuff. I've tried to get rid of a lot of it this year, particularly with the Halloween stuff. But I've still got loads of those chip words left and loads of that kind of stuff. I'm going to be using 2 of those in the project today. But, you know, it's time we moved on. Time we actually got something else. Time we saw something different in art journal pages. So, right, paintbrush. Choose a smallish one. I've just realised I've got no water. Right, okay, let me go get some water and I'll be right back. All right, water obtained. So I'll grab some of this gesso. Push that down in there. That's better. Right, I'm just going to put, and I've just realised it's not white gesso that I've opened. Would you believe it? It's clear. That's not what I wanted. Oh dear, I didn't know I had that. They look very similar, don't they? Apart from the word clear. I think I can be forgiven. Let me just dry that bit off. Hang on. He's grabbing his heat gun. We're not turned on. There we go. I was just going to say I can't believe I just did that, but actually no, I can believe I did that because that's just the sort of thing that I would do. Okay, so white gesso. Just a quick coat of white gesso just to knock all that kind of stuff into the background, but not wholly. I don't want all of it to go. Still should be able to see some bits of it behind. There we go. This stuff always dries lighter, and you will be able to see through it. It's just a bit of a base coat, really. Okay, let's get me that dried off. The gesso's dry now, so what I want to do is I'm going to bring in some translucent paint. So this is one of my colours, yellow ochre. This was one of the ones I asked or requested Indigo Blue to come out with earlier this year. I gave them a list of 6 colours I would like to see added to their collection. This was one of them. So let's grab some yellow ochre, and I'm going to add some of that into the middle. And I'm being really brush strokey, painterly, if you like. I want to see brush strokes in there. I want to see, be able to see where the brush has been up and down, like so. I have sort of toyed with the idea of playing with more opaque type paints next year, gouache, that kind of thing. And I've even considered, actually even looked yesterday while I was out shopping with Ian, at oils, which I've never really played with, but who knows, they may be on the to-do list next year. Right, there's my first layer of that yellow ochre, so let's get that down and dried. I'm not drying it off completely. I'm just washing my brush, and then I'm going to bring in another of the colours that I persuaded them to do, which is the Terra Verde, which is a beautiful kind of green colour. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm now going to add that into the mix around the edges in a really loose kind of painterly way. Bearing in mind it is translucent, so you should theoretically be able to see some of the text and stuff still underneath, which is what the hope is. Just dry my brush off and bring that yellow ochre back out again, because while that green's still wet, what I want to do is just to be able to kind of like blend into it with the yellow ochre. Just maneuver and shift it a little bit. Almost create a kind of greeny frame. Get it moving before it dries. I think we'll have a little bit of the yellow just in those areas in the edges, just to kind of remind you that there is yellow in there. Okay, let's get that dried. All right, I've put the art journal to one side and I've got out my light box because I want to do a little bit of sort of tracing. So I've printed off an image and it's like a little silhouette kind of shape that I want to transfer. So, but it doesn't matter if it's perfect. I don't particularly want it to be too perfect. It was just kind of like the outline of the shape. I liked the fact that it looks almost like a school child with shorts on. And I just like the idea of the skinny legs. So that's pretty much all I need. Just that kind of abstract-y, silhouette-y kind of shape. There we go, that'll do. Right, so I've drawn it, not on tracing paper, but I've actually drawn it on rice paper. Tracing paper I've found, if you want to use that in an art journal page, it never kind of disappears. It always kind of stays whitish. Whereas the rice paper tends to disintegrate almost completely into the background. And you can get away with rice paper. It's so forgiving. You can get away with lots and lots. Okay, so while I've got the water and I've got a brush, let me just disintegrate the paper around that, which will make it a lot easier. There we go. So that will disappear along there. And then we can just remove that. Give it a second. There we go. Just a second or two for it to soak all the way through to the other side. And then bring that water around the bottom and then around the top. Rip it away. And because it feathers really nicely, this is how it tends to disappear into your journal page. I love rice paper. The potential is amazing. Right, so what I want to do first of all, let's just grab a piece of scratch paper. There we go. Just so you can see it a bit better on the background. There we are. So what I want to do is I want to fill this shape with black, but I don't want to use black paint and I don't want to use ink because it'll just wick. So what I'm going to use a permanent solvent oil-based pen for colouring it in. And he says run into the other side of the room because he'd forgotten it. So this is the Uniball I Ocean Care. It's 0.7, so made from 75% recycled plastics and 10% from ocean waste. So this is an oil-based pen, so you can actually use it and it won't it will wick slightly because that's just the nature of the paper. But what it enables you to do, see, that's the reason why I did it on the white page and not on the art journal page. So you can literally create your kind of abstracty shape and then we'll be able to transfer it onto the art journal page. Without any kind of worries. Alright, so that's the basic outline. So now I can start just to really sketchy. And there's nothing wrong with sketchiness in art journals. In fact, that's probably the one place where you can get away with sketchiness more than any other. I got these pens from Amazon. I bought a set of 5. and they weren't expensive. But like the, if you forgive my pronunciation for the purists, the food ball pens, these are the next best thing for me. Apart from these come in a finer nib. The food ball pens tend to be thicker, whereas this is a lot finer, for finer detail, I find. And they work really well for me. Yeah, I'm loving that kind of sketchiness. I mean, you could fill it if you wanted to with Zentangles or that kind of thing. But I really enjoy the fact that you can see where I've gone with the pen, and the fact that there are bits, you know, that I've missed, and that's okay. That's why I did it on the paper. Okay, so what I just want to do is just very gently, is just give it a little bit of heat, just to get it to dry a little. All right, and because the rice paper is so thin, you can have it either way. So you can just flip it depending on which way you want it to have it. I like it that way. So let's bring the art journal page back in. Oh. And then I can place my figure down. Just audition it on the page, I think here. Just slightly over to the left. And then we can get some matte medium. I don't want gloss. Now, what did I do with it all? Matte, there it is. Slap it on matte. Give it a shake. And I can just drop that straight onto the page like that. Now, again, I need to be just a bit careful about gluing this down because it is delicate. So I'm going to take a little bit from there and I'm just going to go at the bottom just to hold it in place, and then just run my finger up and then go in at the top, and that's going to hold it down at the top, and then a little bit at the sides, just really gently. I mean really, really gently, until we've pretty much got most of it. And because the rice paper is so thin, it will soak straight in through to the other side. So you don't need heavy brush strokes, just really gentle, really light. And it will go right the way through, and it would add here, right through to the other side. Completely saturating the paper. And as you can see, the pen has not moved in the slightest. So I'll just get rid of the rest of that on the page. It's matte, it's not shiny in any way, so okay, let's get that dried off. That's dry nicely, but I have noticed that where the matte medium was, it's lifted a little bit of that paint. So I'm just going to come back in and just add a little bit around. So just where the tissue paper is, I'm just going to go around, just going over a little bit, just to kind of blend it a little bit more. For no other reason than because we can. And it's not going to do any harm at all. We're just adding to those kind of painterly strokes to the page. A bit more yellow. Maybe a bit more over here. The yellow and the green work really, really well together. I'm so pleased with them. Just my kind of palette. Okay, but we do want to add a little bit of brown in too. So let me get that dry first of all, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so we're pretty much dry now. So I now want to add in a little bit more texture kind of into the background. I'm going to do that by using some stencils. So I've got this really old TCW stencil. It's called Specimen, I believe. It's this little bit in the corner here that I'm interested in. I kind of like that shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently go through. Now, because we've used matte medium and that kind of stuff, it's kind of created a barrier. So if we'd used distress inks or water-based inks, it probably would, you'd be able to move it later on, which I don't want to be able to do. I want it to be permanent when dry. So I'm using but it's supposed to be sepia, but actually I think I've contaminated it now by adding in green, which is my own fault really. So this was one of those inherited colours that I got from Mum, so you might not be able to see this much. What I'm doing is I'm just turning the stencil around, just so I'm not getting the same thing each time. There we go, you can probably see it better. And it's just breaking up the background a little. Just adding a little bit of interest. There we go. And I'll just repeat, I'm just going to repeat the pattern around the page. But mostly around the outside. Turn it that way this time. Maybe one down here as well. My brain's telling me it wants one down there. And 9 times out of 10, my brain gets what it wants. I did say 9 times out of 10. I want to clean that so I can turn it over. So let me just grab a piece of kitchen roll. Just give it a quick wipe. I don't want to contaminate and cross it. Yeah, do that way. Cool. And I think maybe just one down here. But just a light one. Cool, that's that one done. So next up, I want to try and find a darker brown permanent ink, so I'll need to go grab my StazOn collection. So I shall just go rake around for those and I'll be right back. Bless you! Big sneeze came from downstairs then. Right, so StazOn, and I've got Ganache, which is a dark brown. So I've got this brick stencil, this is one of mine. I've got brand new ink dome. So I'm just going to just load up on ink. Yeah, it's almost blackish, isn't it? Rather than chocolatey brown. And I just want to add some just vague, ooh, you did say vague, didn't they? That really is dark. Brick kind of pattern. Just, I was going to say lightly. So let's not rub quite so hard. Just real nice gentle strokes. I'm not pushing hard at all. There we go. I like that. I like that a lot. Right, so the other one that I've got is this one. This is a really old Tim Holtz one. You can tell it's a really old one because I've still got the writing on. I think, did they stop doing it? Is that why I put those on? Because they stopped putting the names on. Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. Right, so what I want to do, just introduce a little bit of those kind of dots into the background as well. Let's turn that upside down. So we're not doing a huge amount, just doing a few. I'm just looking at the page to see where I think I might need a few more. But you know what? I don't think I need anything else. I think that's okay. I'm happy with that. I will add some splatters, however, into the background, but not white. I think we're going to go with dark. We're going to go with black splatters, which means I need a paint mat. There we go. One paint mat. Let me just move that to one side. Some paint and a brush. Black gesso. Don't want a huge amount. That'll do. Let's get some water. That should do us, I think. Do. Okay, right, let me get that dried off and then I'll be right back. Everything's now dry, so I just want to add the last couple of finishing touches to it. So I've talking about the Tim Holtz stuff, loads of the chip words. I did say I was going to be using some. So I've got this one that says lost and this one that says live in the moment. But I'm going to adapt it. I'm going to cut off where it says live. Don't want it. I'll just trim that side just a little bit, just to even it up a bit. And then just using that same, I thought was the same. That's better. Just going to go around the edge. Just grunging up a little bit. Not a lot, just a little. And then put those scissors away. I'm actually remembering to put them away. That's the way it doesn't get lost then, does it? Right, so I want some glue. Did I see some flitter glue? Yes, that will do just nicely. Unless it's a brand new one. Knowing me, it'll be a brand new one and it'll still have its stopper in. It is, look, it's brand new. It's still got its protective thing in. Right, okay. Oh, there it is. Our favourite Yoo-hoo. Spirit glue. That'll do. So just want a little bit on the back. Oh, it's going to be one of them days where the glue doesn't want to come out. Don't tell me it's dried up in the tube. Ah, there we are. I'll do for that, and then as you can tell, it's nearing its end. Right, let's take the Lost, and I'm going to pop it there. And then we're going to take the Now, it says in the moment, and we're going to put it there. So instead of saying live in the moment, it's now lost in the moment. Which is what happens when you stop and smell the flowers. Okay, not quite finished yet. Back in a moment. Okay, so they've had chance just to grab now. So one of the last things I want to do, just using that pen again, is I want to just add in a few kind of very light abstracty lines. This is my latest aesthetic. I like to add in these kind of lines. And then just adds a little bit of kind of movement, and then once you've the kind of fear of it being too wet has passed, you could just add in the odd horizontal one, but just really sketchy. Just adds a bit more interest into that background. That's it. That's all I'm going to do for that one. So let's finish it off by signing it. So I shall do my little, and then put the date. So today's date is the 9th of the 12th, 23. So there we go. That was kind of the image of that silhouette young boy kind of thing, walking almost towards a light with a darker outline. That was kind of the image. So I think I've translated it onto the page. I'm happy with the way it's turned out on the page anyway. So since it's my art journal page, there's only me I really need to please. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this page. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. I'm trying to reach 31,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. The last time I checked, I was about 7 or 8 people away from hitting that. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so, because it really would help me. So that's all from me for now. I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.